US President Joe Biden, he used the State of the Union speech last week to talk about abortion. And the way he talked about it was in total contrast to the previous president. Let's check it out. So, President Joe Biden used the State of the Union address last week to promote abortion, and he called the killing of 63 million unborn babies since Roe v. Wade was passed, which legalized abortion in the United States. He called that healthcare. Now, let me just play you the extract of what he said about abortion, and note one thing. He never uses the word abortion. Have a listen.
Liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose, and continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans.
The language, access to health care, going forward, women's rights, the right to choose, and health care. It's not the right to choose for the unborn baby, and it's certainly not health care for the unborn child as well. And President Biden was challenged on this the day following by a reporter.
You continue to support Roe v. Wade as a Catholic. Why do you support abortion as a Catholic? Define church teaching.
I tell you what, I don't want to get in a debate with you on theology, but well, anyway.
Why? Why support abortion?
I'm not going to make a judgment for other people.
Yeah, so not going to make a judgment for other people, but of course it is a judgment on the unborn child. It's a death sentence. The Susan B. Anthony list, which is a pro-life group in the US, very good group, said the reality is that this administration is the most pro-abortion administration in history. And interestingly, an overwhelming majority of American people they've polled, and they've found that 71% want abortion to be limited to the first 3 months of pregnancy. And Florida lawmakers have just approved the strictest abortion ban in the state's history. It limits abortions up to 15 weeks. Now, that's still 15 weeks too much. But Biden wants to expand that. And his speech came the day after the US Senate failed to pass an abortion bill that Biden supported that would basically override state pro-life laws and enshrine a right to abortion in federal law. And of course, that's because they're getting nervous about this case that's currently before the Supreme Court, which could overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, the Senate shot down the bill. It was called the Women's Health Protection Act. Note the verbal gymnastics being done there. Women's Health Protection. It's not the protection of the unborn woman, of course. But if the bill had passed, bans on partial birth abortions, sex selection abortions, taxpayer-funded abortions would be gone. Laws that protect women and girls would be eliminated, including parental consent and informed consent laws that inform women about the unborn baby's development before going through with an abortion. Now, no Republicans supported the measure, and one Democrat, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, voted against it. Sadly, New Zealand's liberal laws are as bad as what Biden wants to enforce in the US. In effect, an abortion until birth act, which is what New Zealand effectively has. And when this bill was defeated to try and enable the federal government to just tell every state, no, you allow abortion right up to birth, the White House slammed the failure of this as extremely disappointing. And they released a statement and they threatened to use executive orders to somehow force more abortions on the country. Note their use of the words there: healthcare, rights, health protection, and of course it's all about the Roe v. Wade aspect. And they say the Biden-Harris administration will continue to explore the measures and tools at our disposal to stand up for women's equality. That's a terrible term, isn't it? It's not equality for the unborn little girl. Now, I want to contrast that with the previous president, who you may have heard of, Donald Trump, loved by the New Zealand media. Have a listen to his comments on this topic in the State of the Union address, firstly in 2019.
Defend the dignity of every person I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in a mother's womb.
A lot of people not very happy, are they? Don't like the unborn babies.
Let us work together to build a culture that cherishes innocent life.
Well, that was quite a contrast. And then, so that was 2019. Let's look at what he said in the State of Union address in 2020.
2017 doctors at St. Luke's Hospital in Kansas City delivered one of the earliest premature babies ever to survive. Born at just 21 weeks and 6 days and weighing less than a pound, Ellie Schneider was a born fighter. Through the skill of her doctors and the prayers of her parents, little Ellie kept on winning the battle of life. Today, Ellie is a strong, healthy 2-year-old girl sitting with her amazing mother, Robin. In the gallery, Ellie and Robin, we are glad to have you with us tonight. That is why I'm also calling upon members of Congress here tonight to pass legislation finally banning the late-term abortion of babies. Whether we are Republican, Democrat, or Independent, surely we must all agree that every human life is a sacred gift from God.
Well, that's what you would hope, but there was a big section of that audience that weren't too happy with what Trump was saying. Look, whatever your views of the personality of Biden versus Trump, whatever your views of the politics of Biden versus Trump, and whether you consider yourself left-wing or right-wing or a centre voter, there is no doubt Donald Trump is a champion for the unborn child, both little boys and girls. Joe Biden is a champion for the right to kill the unborn child. It's as black and white as that. I know who would get my vote on this issue, and I also know who the unborn child would vote for. Sadly, they don't get a voice. Let's be their voice.